Alrighty guys, again, I'm doing another video where it is not me at the gym or me vlogging, but actually another educational video. You guys seem to have good feedback for that and give good comments, so I don't know, I'm just going to help you guys out again. But overall, this video is talking about progressive overload. What is it and how do you do it as fast as possible? And if this is a video that this is the first video you stumbled upon or one of the videos that you watched on my channel and you don't typically watch the full video, I would recommend watching this full one because not only is it going to get me views, but it's also going to benefit you in the long run, telling you how to progressive overload. But quick overview is the 4 types of progressive overload, that the method that I use, and then some other things along that nature. But as you can see here, we have an image on the first slide. This is me doing a hinge with 170 pounds per side, and now I'm doing about 207 pounds, 0.5 pounds per side. So I went up a decent amount, around 30-ish, a little over 30 pounds, close to 40 almost. This was done in, I don't even know how long, a couple months. So definitely tap in. This progressive overload does work, and let's start the video. All right, and as you can see, I provided like examples to go with each kind of type. The first 2 types, I just made one slide for them because it's super basic, is more weight and more reps, because those are the most like prominent forms of progressive overload. So either you add weight and you do the same amount of reps, or it even could be both, or it could just be doing reps onto a movement with the same weight, same thing. Both are forms of progressive overload. And in order for this to count, I preach this so much, do not have form breakdown just because you're adding weight or adding reps. Do not force the rep or force the weight add-on just because you want to say to yourself, yeah, I progressed. That is the worst thing you could do. Let them come to you. Progressive overload is a byproduct of muscle growth. I guess I didn't really talk about what progressive overload is, but it's basically what I'm describing here, and it's a byproduct of muscle growth. Muscle growth is not caused from progressive overload. Progressive overload is a result of muscle growth, like it's a byproduct. But anyways, here's the example. So let's look at this. This is the hinge example that I put in the first slide. As you can see, just hinging normally. This is a fixed bar path machine, super nice, super smooth. As you can see, doing 3 plates and a 35 per side. I think I got it for like 6 reps, or maybe 7. Don't even want to bring that up, but anyways, then here is most recently February 2026. As you can see, doing about a plate more, so 90 pounds more per side, or 90 pounds more in total, and form looks exactly the same. The pad and the machine settings are all the same. If you track your lifts, track the machine settings. It helps you so much with consistency in your progressive overload. As you can see right there, failing around the 5th or 6th rep. I don't even know, but overall, that is progressive overload in terms of adding more weight and reps. I didn't have a rep example, but it goes along with saying, without saying that I added more weight. So the reps would be a lot larger. It would be probably upwards of like 15 if I did that weight. And then another form that kind of gets overlooked is a faster concentric speed. So what is the concentric? So let's say you're doing a bench press. Let's do this most simple example. Concentric is the way up. You're actually pushing the weight up, and the eccentric is the way down. If you didn't know that already, that is basically what it is. And if you get the same amount of reps doing the same amount of weight, there is still ways to notice progressive overload. Again, this is very nitpicky and getting into it, but this is what I found and what many people preach. But faster concentric speed on the last rep that's the easiest way to tell. You're not going to be able to really tell the difference between the first rep between the 2, especially if you compare 2 sessions. But the faster rep on the most recent session, as opposed to a slower rep on the session prior to the most previous session, or whatever, the most recent session, will tell you progressive overload. Anyways, so it's, yeah, like I said, usually the same reps and weight, and it happens a lot more often in experienced lifters, and I'm going to explain why. Because rate of progression, ROP, I just did an acronym to speed things up and make streamline different things that I don't need to really type as much. Rate of progression slows down. Progressive overload is a result of muscle growth. So your muscle growth slows down as you get more experienced in lifting, and then your rate of progression slows down as a sign of that. Like, obviously, if you are new to the gym, your bench press is just going to skyrocket, as opposed to somebody bench pressing that has been in the gym for like 6 years. They're not going to be as fast at progressions. So here's an example of me doing incline Smith. I just went to the 5th rep of each session. These are about a week apart, maybe a week and a half, give or take. But here, this is the 5th rep on both of them. I failed on the 6th on both of them. So as you can see, very, very slow 5th rep. Didn't even go for another. Then here, this is the 5th rep. much faster than this by, I don't even know, a little bit of time, but as you can see, that is progressive overload, and I am getting stronger. So now another one gets overlooked. This is the fourth one. This is it for the different types, better form. So it could be the same weight, could be the same amount of reps, could be the exact same speed, but your form is different, and it is different in a positive manner, meaning that it is more effectively hitting the muscle. So this is why it's so important to standardize your form and make sure that you are really hitting the target muscle and not just doing anything you can to move, push, pull, or press the weight. It's not ideal. So not much to say, really. Just lock in on your form. If you're someone that has really bad form, record your sets and then analyze it, or get someone else to analyze it. That's why you could join the Discord. You could post your training in there in your clips, and then we could look at it, your form, see if you're hitting the muscle correctly to help you grow at the fastest capability. In the example that I'm doing in the top one, this is April 2025. I'm doing a plate and a 10 onto the stack. You'll see it's a lat pull down rather than doing a plate and a 25. Most recent session, and the form is miles better. Now this is not as significant as a weight jump because the time period, let's say, I don't know how many months that is, so what is that, 10 months, somewhere around 9 to 10 months. It's not as significant, but the form is much better. You'll see. Watch, you'll see this rep isn't honestly that bad. It's not awful, but it definitely could be improved. I'm shrugging upwards here, which is taking some emphasis off the lats, and I'm kind of just flinging the weight around, fully extending, and as you can see, shrugging upward again, doing the kind of jerky motion a little bit, but now it's much more smooth and much more controlled. As you can see here, look, jerking again and shrugging upwards like that. It's not ideal. Then here we go. This is most recently with more weight. As you can see, I'm keeping my rib cage more stacked. I'm just completely fluid with my motion. It's not like I'm jagged or whatever, but I'm more consistent with my form, and it's much better, which is a form of progressive overload in the long run, or you can notice it session to session. So here is the method I use. This graph I literally just found on Google. I do not use the 6 to 10 rep range. I use the 4 to 8 rep range. So for instance, what I'm about to explain, that'll make sense. But what is it? Essentially, pick a rep range. So like I said, 4 to 8. And once you max out that rep range with a certain weight, certain movement, you up the weight to put you back at the bottom of that rep range. So let's say I was doing a leg press, right? 4 reps, worked my way up to 8. I increased the weight on a leg press. You could do a little bit more than you would be able to on a lateral raise due to the percentage of weight. Let's say I increased the weight 10 pounds per side, back to 4 reps, and then I keep going until I'm just gonna keep going forever. It's just a good method, and this is why I chose to do it, because I used to have a problem with upping the weight too frequently, and my form as a result of that would just be your body finds a way to compromise at any means. So compromise in my form would be awful, and I would not be hitting the target muscle. But now, much more controlled, and I'm more patient when it comes to my progressions. Frequency, as you can see, we had the 2 goats. That's TNF. Keenan, why is he cheesing like that? It looks like the Cristiano Ronaldo meme, you know what I'm talking about, where he's drinking his shake or whatever. I don't know if it was just shake, but drinking something. Anyways, frequency. So training at higher frequency allows you to progress at something faster than if you were to train at low frequency. Now let's think about why this makes more sense. Why this makes sense. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty obvious, but doing a movement more often, you're typically going to see, not only if you're in neurological adaptations, which I'll talk about in a second, but even in progressions, you're going to see more progress and go up in the weight, go up in the reps, whatever the other two ones, concentric or form. You're going to see more often because you're just doing it more often. This is why powerlifters have very strong compounds, because they do them so often. They bench 3 to 4 times a week, which is an insane amount of frequency. So that makes sense, right? Now, with neurological adaptations, I actually really do like this graph a lot, and I'll explain it. There's no numbers, but it really does make sense. So anyways, what are they? When you do a new movement, your body rapidly adapts to it, neurologically, and you will feel and you'll notice a rapid increase in weight. Now, that's not truly progressive overload, because progressive overload comes after an extended period of time, but neurological adaptation is just kind of psyching yourself into thinking that you're progressive overloading, even though you're not, because your body's just adapting to the movement. This is why so many people get so demotivated, and they're science-based or whatever in the community. I remember this was going around where they would do an exercise for 4 weeks, then they would see their neurological adaptations wear off, and then they would just switch an exercise. They'd exercise hop, but that is the worst thing that you could do, because after a certain amount of weeks, that's when the neurological adaptations wear off, and then you're going to notice the real progressive overload. So it's huge that you stick with a a movement for as long as possible and ride it out. But anyways, let's explain this graph. So we have on the y-axis progress and then time on the x-axis. Hypertrophy, as you can see, just continuously goes up and up, kind of flat lines here, once your strength plateaus, but whatever, we're not focused on that. These are neurological adaptations. As you can see, skyrockets up. It's very, 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 very high up, very high up. It's completely like skyrocketing. It's almost like a one slope. It's just very steep, and then your strength is going up because again you're moving up in weight rapidly, and then your hypertrophy also is going up, but not at as fast as a rate. Like I said, true progressive overload comes with time. Anyways, it continuously goes up, hypertrophy, but then they'll see a drop off because I don't know, you're talking about like years and years of lifting. Your strength goes up, but neurological adaptations, it flatlines completely because those go away after a couple weeks. They're not going to be with you forever. So that makes sense, right? Because neurological adaptations are very prominent in the beginning, but they're not with you for the rest of your like progressive series or progressive overload on a movement. But hypertrophy stays continuously growing up. I don't know why he included this thing with steroids. It's obviously going to make you go up, but strength continuously goes up, and then it begins to plateau once you get to true progressions and you're really trying to progress. But hypertrophy, I think that should be just continuously up, whatever. But that kind of explains it. I don't know if that made sense, but basically all I'm saying is neurological adaptations are the first like 2 to 6 weeks of doing a new movement, and you're really just adapting and you're going up, increasing the weight at a rapid rate. And then progressive overload is more so when you're like kind of mining away at trying to progress on the weight, whether it's reps, weight, or form or concentric speed, any way you can. So now, this is actually a cool thing that I want to like plug is my Discord. So you could tap into this and you could actually see my rate of progression as someone who's been lifting for almost 4 years now. It's not going to be every session I progress, and you guys could also add your own training clips or training logs to add on to this, and this could also motivate you in different ways. But as you can see, I post my logs. As you can see, this is from probably by the time I upload this, it'll be March, but it's from like February 22nd, I think. So yeah, take that as you will. But anyways, as you can see, I am posting my log of every lift every single day I go to the gym. I post my training log to show you guys my rate of progression and show you guys and kind of give you a guideline. But it's obviously, don't take it with a grain. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. It's not completely accurate, but this is my how I progress and how fast you should be progressing, if that makes sense. It's like not out of proportion. I make sure I don't include the machine settings I write down in here, but I do write those down. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. This video is kind of I don't know if it's going to be quick, but it's just on progressive overload. So the main takeaways is do the double progression method. It's the best thing that you could do. Those 4 pillars of progressive overload are the main ones. I'm sure there's more, but tap into those. And that's why recording your sets is important, because it allows you to look back on it after the fact, or you could paste it in here or send the video in here and we could talk about it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, Longo one on Bucked Up is the supplements and the apparel, so tap into that. Use my code 20% off, and then Gympin again 20% off. LONGOLIFTS is the code, so get a real one. Don't get the Amazon ones; those are beat and they're awful. And then obviously join the Discord if you're interested. The link is always in the description. But I'll see you guys in the next video.